The Yazoo Backwater Project was authorized in 1941 by the Congress, the Flood Control Act of 41. It's part of the Mississippi River and Tributaries project, by which we had this levee that we're standing on here was part of it. This structure was part of the authorization, other structures. And basically now the last remaining piece that has not been constructed is the Yazoo Pump Project. The Corps of Engineers has studied this project 3 or 4 times. We've recommended a project, and for various and sundry reasons, it has never been constructed. If we had the pump, then we would minimize the impacts to these people in the South Delta toward their homes that were flooded in 2019, the major roads that were underwater. We think we can keep all that essentially flood-free.
So the pumps project obviously is designed to alleviate flooding and speed the removal of floodwaters from within the Yazoo Basin. And as such, it has the potential to impact wetlands by removing water from the system. For the past 12 years or so, we have been conducting extensive monitoring of wetland hydrology within the Yazoo Basin. That has included the installation and data collection from 56 groundwater monitoring wells that we subsequently used to investigate the sources of wetland hydrology within the region. When the previous analyses were conducted, the assumption was made that flooding was the dominant source of hydrology. And so as a result, when precipitation was found to be the sustaining source for much of the wetlands there, that led us to conclude that the pumps would have fewer potential environmental impacts than previously assumed.
Years ago, it was decided what were the important resources up here in this area. Wetlands are very important. The aquatics is very important. Of course, we all know this is a big duck hunting area, so waterfowl. And of course, the terrestrial. A lot of the environmentalists, they want to minimize the impacts to clearing any bottomland hardwoods. They say we've lost too much already, and I have to agree there. Those were the major resources. Of course, you come up with migratory birds besides waterfowl that are coming through. We had Dr. Fisher and Dr. Young look at those. We've got 11 endangered species up here that had to be looked at.
I mean, you had terrestrial biologists, waterfowl biologists, aquatic ecology, including fisheries and malacology and aquatic invertebrate zoology. All of that expertise was housed under one organization. So they invited the team to participate, and we ended up being a critical part of that evaluation. We worked with them to come up with environmental flow regimes that would benefit the aquatic ecology, the aquatic environment, not only during the spring, but also during the low flow period in the late summer and fall. So together with reforestation and environmental flows, we looked at all life stages of aquatic animals, and we took a watershed approach.
Well, we want to pass it on to our children and grandchildren just like we left it, or possibly better. So we're going to try to minimize impacts to the environment down here. We're trying to document that in the report best we can. The ERDC scientists are committed to helping me document that on these resources that we just talked about. And then we measure what those impacts are and come up with a way to mitigate them or offset them so we can end up with a net zero impact with this project.
Well, I think the project really highlights the long-term investments that were made by the district to collect almost 10 years of data. So a long-term investment on their part. And most importantly, it really highlights the value of what we do here at the ERDC. I mean, execution of this project required development of a large team of soil scientists, foresters, ecologists, people who study wildlife, fisheries, and that really is the power of the Environmental Lab and the power of ERDC, is the ability to build those interdisciplinary teams to address these challenges.